The Search Podcast USA Edition series is sponsored by PGC. PGC are the longest-serving employer of record in North America and can compliantly engage contractors across both the US and Canada on behalf of staffing and recruitment businesses. Our turnkey solution offers a unique access point to the largest staffing market in the world. To find out more, visit us at pgcgroup.com.
Hi everybody, welcome back to a new episode of the Search Podcast. I'm Elliott Manning, the Managing Director of Cayman Recruitment. I have got a guest who's been on here before. This time round, things have changed, developed massively. I think it was about 18 months, 2 years ago. I had him on talking about the ambition of his US build out, but Patrick, all of it's all a bit different now, right?
Yeah. Thanks for having me on again, Elliott. Things have changed. We're out in Austin now, full time, which is great. The office opened beginning of May, basically end of April. We've got the team out there, boots on the ground, slightly different to what we originally planned in terms of bringing the team from here and relocating out there. That didn't really work out for a number of different reasons. Happy to discuss that as we go on. We've got a team, but now we've got people from America in the office. I've been out there for the last month with them, which has been great. And it's going really well.
Cool, lovely. Well, Patrick, Coltech is it's been doing incredibly well the last couple of years. I think what I really want to understand, because every time I go through this with a lot of different businesses, these are two. It's a big topic that's brought up, and it is more about, initially you were looking to take a couple of guys from the team over to Austin and build it out, that way, but instead you've gone and hired a couple of people in Austin instead to build it out in that way. And what changed and what developed over the period since we last spoke?
The business, we've had a slight shift in the way that we're a big shift in the way that we're approaching the market anyway, or gone back to when we started the company like 5 years ago, we was contract only, project based, trying to fit in that gap between a full-on consultancy and a standard recruitment agency. So we didn't do any perm, and it was all projects and statement of work type stuff. And then over the years, I think just after the sort of the pandemic boom, and everyone was sort of hiring, building out their teams, and it was like everyone was hiring perm. And then we decided to move to the US with the fees and everything else. It just made a lot more sense at the time to go sort of perm heavy. And when the team here in the UK was perm heavy, and then as we've done really, really well. The team here were great, and we've done some really good numbers, and we was ready to go out there. We wanted to move the business more to a contract focus, again, back to what we done really, really well. And at that point, we decided that, as the business was changing, numbers dropped down again because people wasn't hiring as many perm, and we were switching to contracts. And it's basically just a massive turning point in the company. And the two people that were working with us at the time, it just it was going to take us a lot longer to get out to Austin than we initially expected. Yeah. So the decision was made mutually that they wanted to get out there sooner rather than later. So we decided that they're working out there now for another firm, and we wish them all the best. So then we sort of put our foot on the ball, looked again, wanted to move towards the statement of work stuff, built up again from the UK, but I was driving that. And then once we got the numbers to where they needed to go, we decided that it was best to get people in the US. What we really want to be, what I've noticed, so I've been working the market now for 2 years since, noticed it's difficult to work the hours from here. That's the first thing for a long period of time. And
it's sustainable for 6 months, right? You can kind of get into it for 6 months, maybe a year, but to keep doing it, year on year, it does catch up on you.
Yeah, it's really, really hard. And it's just finding that you're in the office till 11:30, 12. And over a long period of time. And it's obviously it's harder in the winter months, certainly. But over a period of time, it does wear you down. And I didn't want to be in that position again where I was making promises to people that I might not be able to keep. Yeah. Because, we've got I've got a vision and a dream of what I want the business to be, but people have to buy into it. But also I don't want to be stringing people along. Although we always clearly we're out there now. We always wanted to be out there, but we never know. You never know when it's going to happen because we had to build up, build up, build up. So yeah, the decision was made that look, what we're actually going to do is hire Americans
Yeah,
who live there, and build a business out that way, and just basically hire Americans in America.
yeah.
I think a lot of businesses from the UK send out English recruiters,
They try to.
um,
Yeah,
and it works to a point. But I think you've got to, like, if you're going to be in the location, there's something I've learned is that you've got to be like really, really mixed in with the culture, really understand it, because that we've just literally just speaking about 5 minutes ago. They're slightly
yeah,
different in America to they are in the UK. You
yeah.
can manage people differently, and everything else, and the way they go about their work. So I think it's important to we want to be known as an American company, not an English company in America,
Yeah,
if that makes sense, in
yeah.
the US, and so that was important for me.
I mean, a lot of firms that I speak to are hesitant around hiring, the first people on the ground to be Americans, and they don't feel comfortable with that. They want to bring people over there, but they don't really sometimes understand that it's actually very complicated to do that. Sometimes it's not always reliable, and you'll be quite fortunate if you can put yourself in a position to find someone in the business that is capable of, being that number one on the ground for you. But you've built it all out yourself. How important has that been? To really kind of find an established entity in the US with you having to drive it and put yourself on the line over and above everything else.
I think it's been really good actually, because yeah, as I say, we started the bit when we set up the US business. I said we're going to go for it. It weren't because we had loads of clients out there or we knew loads of people. We knew nothing. So I had to sort of take on the role of, as I say, well, I'm the owner of the business, aren't I? So it's really important for
Yeah,
me to understand the ins and inner working. So, but now because I've been so involved, I know I really know the ins and outs of everything in terms of the legal side, the contracts, how to run contractors, nearshore, offshore. Um, I've also been obviously very, very much involved in the business, driving the business development. So when there's no one can ever say that if they come to work with us that I'm someone that they've got someone who's sitting in an ivory tower and saying this is how it worked 5 years ago or 10 years ago when I was a consultant. It's, I've been a consultant for the past 2 years of building it. So when we hire people, when we build out the team, I can share that recent knowledge of business development, how to speak to clients, how we're going to go and win work, with the different services that we can offer. And it's been really integral to, especially when going out there, to work with the team for the last month to share that knowledge and do the training and help them out. It's been a massive massively beneficial for me to have been so heavily involved and drive it, because a
yeah,
lot of businesses would do it the other way in terms of they've have someone here, hire someone in the UK, they drive it, and then they pick them up and ship them out there.
yeah.
So I've just done it slightly differently.
And with regards to what you guys offer over there, you mentioned statement of work. Is that all you've been kind of focused on? Because I see a lot of your LinkedIn stuff is all about a lot of major project wins that you've brought in from the US itself. Is that the direction that you've gone down fully
Yeah.
now?
Yeah, so again, as I say, we started as a business as Coltech when we first started. We always wanted to be slightly different from your standard recruitment agency, and sit in that gap between a consultancy and agency, maybe like a more modern alternative to your more traditional consultancy. And then we sort of lost our way in that over the last couple of years. So as I say, from sort of middle of last year, we switched it back, started offering the contract services, so rapid response teams, project delivery. And it's been, so all contract based, and people in the US are really, really, really buying into it. In the UK as
Yeah,
well, but yeah, really, really in the US, they're buying into this partnership project delivery model that we offer.
yeah,
And that's where we're gonna say. So we're contract only, no perm. Some people say
yeah.
that's crazy because of the perm fees, but again, where we want to position ourselves as a business that's not um, a uh, as a full-on recruitment agency, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And the guys that you've hired, obviously, we know because we helped you do it, thankfully. In regards to that, they're pure business development focused. So their
Correct.
job is to go out and bring in more SOW, more contract business for you guys to drive. And is the delivery set up now in the UK for that? Is that going to
It's
be in the US?
it's currently run from the UK. with SN, who's been working alongside me to build that out. And then we'll be shifting, we'll be hiring sort of account management and delivery in the US. So that will be the model, like 180 business development, selling the services, the
Yeah.
solutions that we offer to clients, and then bringing the clients in, and then they're serviced by an account manager and a delivery manager
Yeah.
within the business here. So yeah, that's the plan. And I think for me, again, we had a 360 approach previously, and it works. For some businesses, it's worked a lot better for us to do it to do this model. We've seen, the book grow from, we're doing pretty strong numbers now
Yeah.
over the last 6 months, and that's been from working in that way of working. So, and I think it's more regular that happens in the US in
Yeah.
terms of
Yeah.
business development and account management slash
Well, it's a
delivery.
successful model. It
Yeah,
works, and it was a model that before the UK kind of brought themselves over to the market over there, that was the model. It was a 360,
yeah,
180 model, not a 360 setup. And most people were very sales orientated. So when clients ask us to provide them with sales people who are BD focused, you'll find a lot more of those in the US than you will with from a 360 side of thing.
yeah.
Just gives you a better, option in the market. And these guys, they know the industry, they've got good network, and they know how to sell. At the same time, you do have to probably put them in the right direction. I probably assume with the SOW piece, but outside of that, it's a lot more straightforward.
Yeah, no, definitely. I've seen a big difference in the the in the UK, obviously with the 360 approach, when we're trying to sort of implement this BD, it's still a lot of talking to candidate, which you still need to speak to your candidates, but it's a slightly different model and a mindset of a
Yeah,
BD person is a 360 because how they go about getting their information, what they do with it, how they set up, their sales flows, cadences, whatever they're like. It's and because it's quite, as you say, it was the standard model in the US probably before the influx of the English changing it to 360.
yeah,
The salesy approach, the consultative approach, the sales approach, the way they set up, as I say, the emails, the cadences, they understand that side of it a lot
yeah,
more maybe than the UK recruiter would have done previously. So yeah, it's been a real eye opener. I think hiring a team out there, and again, we spoke about it. Culturally, there's slight differences as well that you've got to get used to. But then, I've got everything that I'm seeing so far has
yeah.
been fantastic. They're working
Brilliant.
incredibly hard, and I think one thing that I would add on the difference between UK recruiters maybe in US and bringing them over. I don't know if you've heard this from others. Is and again, it's not when you're bringing people over to the US from the UK, I found from speaking, because we spoke to a lot of people to do the job, they want to move to America. If they
Yeah,
like this goes, obviously, because you're going to move up, but their ambition is that they want to be in the US because they like the idea of the lifestyle. And
yeah,
we're in Austin and it's a cool place to be. And I can travel here and here and here, and I could do paddleboarding on a Thursday after work or whatever it may be. Or, they'd like to get into the lifestyle.
mm,
So it's a massive lifestyle choice for them, rather than if you're hiring people in the US, it's they live there, they've been there, and this is a career. Is that like if that and
yeah,
I've found that there's much more of a well, yeah, they're here to build a. If I'm building a business, I want people that are there to build a business and build a career rather than I'm going there for
yeah.
the lifestyle, if that makes sense. So,
Well, they've got the
um,
lifestyle anyway. They're
yeah,
they're,
of
they're
course,
born and bred in Austin, for example, or Texas. They've been. This is life for them in a way where they have to go to work, they have to make money, they have to fend for themselves and have a career and progress, etc. Whereas I completely understand and I do agree with you that an expat will go over to the US, and wherever they are, they've got to take them 6 months to settle and get
yeah.
an understanding of what they want out of it. And then ultimately they want to experience it. For them, it's an experience. It's not necessarily the right same journey as someone that lives there.
And that's the thing is that, and what I don't want, it would never want it, didn't want to with the two people that worked with us previously is like block that. If that makes sense, because coming out and being the first people on the ground and then having a team, you're not going to be able to do it like really do all the experience stuff that you want to go and do, go and travel, go and do this and that, because for the first year, it's now on you. You've been, you know, do you know what I mean? It's like it felt
Yeah, of course.
it's slightly different to having someone who's there, and it's like, right, well, yeah, I'm not really bothered about Barton Creek or going
Yeah,
to Terry Black's or Sixth Street or whatever it is. I mean, we were
yeah,
out a bit of Sixth Street, but it's it just felt that it was much more career growing out of
yeah.
business mindset. Then I'm going to move to America. I'm moving to America because I like the lifestyle.
Talking about that, like you've been over there, you've spent periods where you've been over there for like a month, and you've really enjoyed it. You're not going to move over there yet, are you? Or is that planned?
Nah, we're never. So no, I'm never going to move there. Well, for the foreseeable future, anyway. I've got two young
Yeah,
kids. So Theo's just starting school in September, and Sloane's one next month.
nice.
And we've got that really good support network in the UK. Like my mum lives around the corner, um, and yeah, like all my family are nearby, and my friends and everything else. So it'd be very, very difficult for us to, me and my wife and the two kids, to move to Austin because again,
Yeah,
it's the same thing. I'm going to be at work all day, every day. And it's fine now because Theo goes to nursery or that Lana can go and see my mum or go and see her friends or whatever else. So there's a lot more, so like we've got a better support network here. If you go out there and she's going to be on her own all day and it's
yeah.
not nice.
So
So it's,
what's it like when you go over there for that the 4 week period, and
oh,
what do you
we
do?
all
Like,
went,
yeah,
we all went. So this time it was, so we just picked up Loughton and moved
yeah,
it moved it to Austin. No, so we had my mum and dad came, my aunt, my
yeah,
little cousin, my sister lives in San Francisco. She flew over. Me and my wife, the two kids, my wife's best friend and her husband, come out as well. So there was a big team of us. So it felt like we
yeah,
was at home, which was good. But usually, and so they was there for 3 weeks. Like my sister come for a little while. Then my mum and just there was a lot of there was a lot of family starting people that like that there
yeah,
was that side of it. They was there for 3 weeks and I stayed on my own. But usually what happens is I go out there every 6 weeks for either
yeah,
for a week and I'll go on my own. And then if I'm going to be there for longer, then Lana and the kids will come and my mum doesn't mind
yeah.
flying out as well.
Fine.
So yeah, that's how we work that.
Oh, perfect, mate. And you usually stay. You don't do hotels anymore when you're over there, do you?
No, so we've got a service department. Well, we don't know. Yeah, there's a service like a service apartment building, and we literally stay in the same apartment building all the time, but it's just a
Like
different
an Airbnb kind of thing. I
apartment.
think.
Basically, Airbnb. Yeah, it's called Casa, but it's right in the middle of downtown. 2 minute walk from my office. My office is on Congress Avenue,
Yeah,
so 2 minute walk from there. It's next door to Cooper's, which is again strategic.
nice. Yeah,
Um, so yeah, and but the thing is, although it's a different apartment every time you feel at home because it's the same. I couldn't. I don't, when we first started going, it was hotels. I just couldn't get down with it. Like it was, you're living out of a
is it?
suitcase a little bit more. You go in, it's a room. I don't know. It just felt like you weren't. It felt like I was away, if that makes sense. Whereas when with the apartment, it feels like you're at home a little bit more because
Yeah,
you've got your own
it's not a
living room,
cost. It's
kitchen.
not like. I mean, it's a little bit. It's very much the same price, right? To do
I
an
think it's
apartment as
even.
to a hotel.
I think it's actually even more cost effective, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
Depending on what hotel you're staying in, obviously. But I think it's yeah, for me it's a lot nicer. The apartment's got a swimming pool and a gym anyway. No, I don't use
yeah,
it, but it's there.
yeah,
But yeah, so what I would suggest for anyone who's like going out or going to spend like a regular amount of time out there is probably look at
yeah.
something like that, like an apartment, because
I've
you
suggested this
do
to a few businesses as well.
you do get you've that home comfort. You've got your own kitchen, you've got your own space. Um, yeah, for me personally, staying in a hotel every time I went out there just wasn't good.
Yeah,
And luckily now we've got the office, I leave some stuff there, so I don't need a massive suitcase
yeah.
anymore either. So
That's a good point, actually. Yeah, actually, I didn't think about that. But a lot of
yeah,
businesses I've spoken to, I've told them what you've told me. Especially if they're going to Austin, Charlotte, Florida, go and look at apartments. The hotels are attractive, but it's a bit different when you're there constantly.
yeah,
So I completely get it and understand, and probably something I'm going to start looking into a little bit more. I've done it once, and it was fine. I did it in New York actually in an apartment, but I don't think that was the best place to do it.
yeah.
At the end of it, it was a bit expensive, but it makes sense. It makes sense. Just to kind of wrap up, mate. And in terms of the journey that you've gone on with the US over the last 2 years, Is there anything you really learned that has put you in, in a very challenging situation that you would tell others to stay clear of, or to be aware of, or to be mindful of?
I think that one of the things I touched on at the beginning is that we shifted our approach completely, like halfway through the or like three quarters. So we was ready to go. Business had its visas. The two people that was going
Yeah,
over had their visas. It was there or thereabouts. And then yeah, for whatever reason we sort of changed. We decided to make the change in the business, and that's not cool because obviously those people have been working with us for 18 months and ready to go out there. And then with the decision to change meant that there was a delay in the actual move. So I would suggest that if I was to start again, it's just get a plan and stick to it and don't deviate. Obviously,
yeah,
there's going to be times when you've got to flex because of market conditions or whatever else. But if you're going to make promises to people, make sure that you stick to them as best you can and don't try
yeah,
and we moved the goalpost a few different times because not on purpose but because of business conditions, economic conditions we had to, and I just wish that I hadn't have done that. That's my biggest
yeah,
regret, really. But at the same time, uh, it's led us to where we are now, and we're probably everyone's probably better off in the situation. But yeah, I would say that one big piece of advice would be just to make a plan, stick to it, get a real like the financial plan as well. We didn't really have that. It's sort of a bit finger in the air until our FD come in. Um, get everything planned out correctly, and and stick to it because
yeah.
it's only going to benefit everyone. We had a few, yeah. It was a bit difficult at times.
Absolutely. Fun. Patrick, mate, thank you very much for joining me again on here. Always interesting to hear what's what people are doing on their journeys and what they're experiencing and the direction that you've taken. Look, I've told a lot of firms to just hire people in America. It's a lot easier sometimes.
You
It's a
said
lot
it to
more
me.
sustainable. I did tell you to do the same thing. I'm glad it's working at the same time. But do you know what it is like? If everything you just said before around people that have got that kind of life there already and that setup and have come from a BD background, and it ticks every box. And I don't think a lot of businesses think about it in the depth that you have around when you're sending people over there. It's a new lifestyle, it's a new experience, and they want to enjoy that, whereas as a business, this is business. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And this is where we've
that's
got
the
to make
biggest thing.
money.
And I
Yeah,
don't want to sound like that. I mean, yeah, that's unfortunately you do come across as a bit of like an arsehole when you say it, but that is the point that we're setting up a business here, and this is what we need to do. That
yeah.
so going out there and having the lifestyle is one thing. And I'm not saying, by the way, by any stretch of the imagination, that everyone that goes out there is that every English person or
No,
Brit
no, of
that goes out
course.
there is the same. But I think a lot of people, you'll see a lot of Rec to Recs on LinkedIn posting about you could live this lifestyle, you could do this, and it's like they're drawn in by that rather than, well, actually, you can go out and set up a business or be a founding member of a business that's going to grow and we're going to expand across the US. It is so rather than looking at it from the business perspective and the career goals, and actually propelling yourself from consultant to director relatively quickly because you're going to put 3 years into it, but you're going to fucking create something special. To
Yeah,
oh, I can live in Florida and go, I don't know, whatever you do in Florida, go to Miami and go down
yeah,
to the bars or whatever. I can go into Austin and you know go down to say Barton Creek, or I could do paddleboarding. I could go down Rainy Street every night because there's bands playing or whatever else. That it's a different mindset, and I'd rather have
absolutely.
people in the business. Don't get me wrong, you go out and do whatever you want after that, but they're there because it's not. Yeah, it's because we want to create something special
Yeah,
and
I,
build this out. That's what I want.
yeah, I agree. I've done the same thing with Cayman. Everyone that I've got, apart from Noemi, who's around, married over there. And ultimately, for me, it was making sure that the guys and girls were just ready to get going and just crack on. And they've done it all and been there, and it wasn't an experience for them, but it was they're part of the Cayman journey as a business.
There's
So
so
I get it.
much. There's so many logistics towards it as well.
Yeah,
Um, again, we went through all of that side of things. So it's like experienced the whole part, the different, it's different employment contracts because they're, English law and US law is completely different. So then that's a bit of the holiday may be different because
Yeah.
this is different in the US, and that's a bit of a mind fuck for people. Or when they're dealing with, and this is not other people, like your emotion. Like for me, if I was to move out to America, the logistics of getting a new apartment, doing all this stuff, you've got to think about that for your consultants. They're going to have to go through all of these different
Yeah.
things, which is going to detract from focus on the work, obviously,
Yeah.
which is fine because people have got to do that. But the emotional side of it. Now, even like so when we was there in like April, May, as I say, all like the whole family come for the first 3 weeks or so. They went to the airport on the Friday, and I was sitting in the apartment on my own. And I was like, oh, this is a bit shit. And it's like you can't really talk to anyone at night because obviously it's the time difference or whatever else. So
Yeah.
after 6 o'clock, he just like completely no one's going to WhatsApp you or anything.
No,
Like you're
it's
completely
weird.
done. So it's like when you go out there, that's the like people from the UK to go out there have to be prepared that your mates are going to be the people you work with.
Yeah.
But for a small business like us, if we're sending 2 people out, that's it. You've just got to just used to.
Yeah.
And then if you don't live in an apartment together for whatever reason, then you're on your own in the evening. Obviously, then you've got to go out and do all your stuff. But it's a big, 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 big lifestyle shift, big shift in everything. So UK recruiters have to be aware of that.
Yeah.
And that's why I think so a lot of you'll see the larger firms. Obviously, we're a small company in comparison. Well, yeah, like we've got 2 people out in Austin at the moment. That's going to grow really rapidly.
Yeah.
Good news for you. Good news for you.
Yeah.
But
Take it.
the larger companies,
Yeah.
we all know who they are. They're probably more successful at bringing UK recruiters over because they've got the infrastructure and they've done it a
Yeah.
hundred times
Absolutely.
and they know how to do everything. And although you're going to come in and be a piece, like a cog in the wheel, rather than if you're starting becoming the founder members, you are the wheel. You've got to go out there
Yeah.
and do it all. So I think that's why for starting a smaller business like ours, the choice that we've ended up making was the right one for us. However, for larger
Yeah.
companies or different companies, it's going
Oh,
to be
you
different for each
different
business.
when you start comparing it to the large organizations. But as I said, I do say to a lot of the smaller businesses going over there, it's going to be very much a lot more of a headache and complication in most cases to hire someone in the UK that you're going to send over there. And you might as well just hire someone who's already over there and get them to do the same job and just make sure that you as a business owner and leader is kind of not controlling it, but at the forefront of it all so that you can kind of
Yeah,
drive it. And I think that's the way to most of the success, in my opinion, when you're starting out in the US. But again, everyone's had a different journey. Everyone sees it all very differently. Um, but again, thank you very much, Patrick,
no worries,
for
mate.
jumping on with me, mate. I'll catch up with you very soon, I'm sure. And if anyone's got any questions, anyone wants to know anything about Austin or anything about Patrick's journey, I'm sure he'll be more than happy for you to reach out directly and speak to him about it.
More than happy. Yeah, thanks for
So,
having me on, Elliot. Always a pleasure, mate.
pleasure.